The suns were high over Outpost 17, casting long golden shadows across the rocky ground. Wind moved slowly through the dry air, carrying the smell of oil, metal, and something sour that no one could name. The colony was old. Its buildings were made of scrap metal and faded banners. But to the people who lived there, it was home. Milo wiped his forehead and leaned back from under the transport engine he'd been fixing since morning. Grease covered his hands and face. He tossed his tools into the box beside him and sighed. Another long, dusty day. Milo was human, one of the few who still lived on Verdos. Most humans had moved to the central cities on other planets, where life was cleaner, safer, and more controlled. But Milo didn't want that life. He liked machines, the stars, and the silence between jobs. He stood and stretched, his back aching from the metal floor. Then he heard the sound of a bell, low, smooth, and slow. It meant someone new had arrived in the market square. Curious, Milo walked to the edge of the repair yard and looked across the open square. The local traders had already gathered around a tall, cloaked figure. The stranger stood still, head lowered, face hidden under a hood. Long fingers, covered in shimmering green scales, moved over the strange items laid out on the cloth in front of him. Alien traders weren't new, but this one was different. He didn't speak much, he didn't smile. And the things he brought, metal, cubes, glowing wires, and dark crystals, didn't look like anything from this world. Milo stepped forward, drawn by the unknown. "Is this from Earth?" he asked, pointing to a small cube. It was silver and smooth, but etched with strange markings. When he touched it, it gave a soft hum, like a whisper trapped inside. The trader didn't answer. He only tilted his head and looked at Milo. His eyes, bright like golden glass, stared for a long second. Then he nodded once. "How much?" Milo asked. The trader pointed to Milo's pocket. Inside was an old Earth coin, copper, scratched, useless in most places. Milo had kept it since childhood. "This?" Milo pulled it out. Again, the trader nodded. Milo hesitated, then dropped the coin in the trader's hand. The moment it touched his palm, the cube clicked. A small blue light blinked on its surface. The trader placed the cube in Milo's hands and whispered, "Marked now." Milo blinked. "What?" But the trader was already turning away, his cloak swaying in the wind. The crowd around him had gone quiet, watching. Someone murmured a warning in a language Milo didn't know. Suddenly, from the far end of the square, a voice rang out, deep, sharp, and full of power. "You should not have spoken to him." Milo turned and saw her, Rava, the Beastwoman from the mountain clans. She was taller than most humans, with short gray fur across her arms and neck and eyes that glowed amber in the light. She wore no shoes, only wrappings and armor made of bone and leather. Rava stepped closer. The crowd parted. Milo had seen her before. She was known for her strength and her silence. Her people rarely came down to the outpost, and when they did, they watched more than they spoke. He stepped back. "I was just looking," Milo said. "He offered me a trade." Rava didn't stop. Her eyes fixed on the cube in his hands. "You have touched it. You have taken it. That makes you part of it now." "I don't understand," Milo said. Rava stopped just in front of him. For a second, she studied his face, then his arm. In a flash, she grabbed his wrist. Before he could move or speak, she opened her mouth and bit down just below his elbow. It wasn't a deep bite. It didn't break the bone, but it left a mark, 4 sharp impressions and a symbol between them. That began to glow softly. Milo pulled away in shock. The cube dropped to the ground. "What was that for?" he shouted, holding his arm. But Rava didn't answer. She looked at the people around them, raised her voice, and said, "Let all see. He is claimed now. Gasps filled the square. Whispers spread like wildfire. A child asked, "What does the mark mean, Papa?" The father answered, "It means she has made him one of them." Milo stood frozen, heart pounding. Rava stepped back and nodded once. Then, without another word, she turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd. People looked at Milo with wide eyes. Some stepped away. Others leaned in, curious, but no one came close. Milo slowly bent down and picked up the cube again. It was still warm, still glowing, and now the mark on his arm glowed in the same color. He didn't know what just happened. He didn't know who the traitor really was, or why Rava had done what she did, but deep inside, something told him. His life had just changed forever, and Verdos would never be the same again. The night air on Verdos was colder than usual. The wind carried fine dust across the metal roofs of Outpost 17. Lights flickered above closed stalls in the market. People had gone inside early, whispering about what they had seen earlier. Milo sat alone in his workshop, staring at the strange cube the traitor had given him. It rested on the table, glowing softly with a faint blue light. His right arm, where Rava had bitten him, still tingled. The bite had left no blood, but a faint glowing mark, shaped like a triangle with lines, was now part of his skin. He had washed it, scrubbed it, even covered it with cloth, but nothing worked. The mark remained. "What does it mean?" he whispered, to himself. He looked again at the cube. Every time he touched it, he felt something stir deep inside, like the hum of an engine waiting to start. He didn't understand it, but he couldn't leave it alone either. Suddenly, there was a knock on the side door. Milo stood up, surprised. No one used that door. He opened it slowly. Standing there in the shadows was Rava. Her eyes glowed in the dark. She stepped in without asking. "You should not have taken the cube," she said, voice low and calm. "You bit me," Milo said, backing away. "What was that about?" Rava closed the door behind her. She looked around the small workshop, as if checking for others. Then her gaze returned to Milo. "You spoke to the wrong traitor," she said. "That cube, it is not just a piece of old tech. It is a key. It wakes something we do not want. Woken." Milo frowned. "A key to what?" "To the vault," she replied. "The vault?" he repeated. "Yes. Buried deep under this land. Long ago, before humans came, a great war happened here. The vault was sealed during that time. Your kind left it behind, but forgot it ever existed." Milo shook his head. "Humans left a vault. On Verdos? But that doesn't make sense. I've never heard of it." Rava stepped closer. "Because your leaders chose to forget. They wiped the records. They feared what was inside. But the clans remember. We have kept the memory alive through stories and marks. That is why I bit you. The mark is ancient. It means you are claimed and protected." "Protected? From what?" "From what comes next," she said. Milo looked down at the cube again. "I just traded a coin for it. I didn't know." "The traitor knew," Rava said firmly. "He gave it to you on purpose. He wants it opened. He wants what is inside. And now, you are tied to it." Milo felt a chill run down his back. "Then take it." "I don't want it." "I cannot," she said. "Now that you have accepted it, the vault will only answer to you." Silence fell between them for a moment. Outside, a dust storm began to whisper along the street. Rava turned to the table and gently picked up the cube. It didn't glow in her hand the way it did for Milo. She placed it back and looked at him. "We must go to the southern ridge," she said. "That is where the vault sleeps. We need to know if it's waking." Milo hesitated. "And what if I say no?" Rava tilted her head slightly. "Then others will come. Not all will ask. Some will take." He remembered the crowd watching earlier, the fear in their eyes. He remembered the trader's golden stare and his strange words. Marked now. Milo sighed. Fine. I'll go. But I want answers. You will get them, she said. But not here. Rava turned and moved to the door. She opened it slowly, checked outside, then nodded to Milo. Bring the cube, and wear something warm. Milo grabbed his jacket and wrapped the cube in a cloth, placing it in his bag. Then he followed Rava into the night. The path to the southern ridge was quiet and steep. They walked in silence for a while. The ground grew rockier. Small lights in the sky showed 2 moons rising. As they reached a flat area near the top, Milo saw strange stone pillars rising from the ground. They looked broken, worn down by time, but clearly shaped by hands, human or not. Rava stopped in front of one pillar and placed her hand on it. This is the edge of the vault, she said. The entrance lies below. Milo stepped closer and looked down. He saw a crack in the earth, wide and deep. Stone steps led downward into the darkness. You brought me here to open it? He asked. No, she said. I brought you to understand. Once the vault wakes, many will come. Not all want peace. Some want power. Milo nodded slowly. And this traitor, he's one of them? Rava's eyes narrowed. Yes. And he is not alone. His kind follow the scent of old tech. They sell it, steal it, or use it to control others. Milo looked down the stairs. His hand touched the cube in his bag. It pulsed faintly, like it knew where it was. I'm just a mechanic, he whispered. Rava looked at him. You are human. That is enough. The vault listens to your kind. They stood in silence for a while, watching the stars above. Milo didn't know what waited below, but he knew he couldn't walk away now. Something had started, and he was in the center of it. Far behind them, deep in the shadows of the outpost, golden eyes watched them from the rooftops. The trader was still there, and he was waiting. Milo followed Rava down the stone steps into the earth. The stairs were narrow, carved long ago by hands that no longer lived. Dust covered the ground. The air grew colder with every step. Above them, the twin moons were hidden now, and the sounds of the surface faded into silence. The cube inside Milo's bag began to glow brighter. Rava walked ahead, steady and calm. She didn't speak until they reached a flat stone chamber lit only by the blue light from the cube. This is the gate room, she said. We are standing at the vault's entrance. Milo looked around. The walls were made of smooth stone, but had thin metal lines running through them like veins. Strange symbols covered the surface, pulsing faintly in the dark. He pulled the cube out and held it in his hand. The symbols on the wall began to glow brighter, matching the light from the cube. It's reacting, Milo whispered. It knows you, Rava said. Your blood matches the ones who built it. That's why only humans can open it. Milo turned to her. How do you know all this? Rava stepped closer to the wall and placed her hand gently against it. My people were once servants to the builders, she said. Long ago, when humans first came to Verdos, they fought many wars. The clans were caught in between. When the war ended, the humans sealed their weapons and knowledge in the vault. Then they left, and never came back. So your people stayed behind, Milo said slowly. Yes, Rava replied. We were told to protect the vault. Not open it. Not use it. Just guard it until the right one returned. Milo looked down at his marked arm. The bite still glowed faintly. And that's why you bit me? The mark is not just a warning, Rava said. It's a bond. It tells the old systems that you are protected by the clan. If others try to harm you here, the vault will defend you. Milo stared at her in silence for a moment. But I'm just a mechanic. You are more than you know, Rava said. The vault chose you. That means something. Suddenly, a loud hum echoed through the room. The wall in front of them split open. A round doorway, glowing with blue light, appeared. Beyond it was a large tunnel stretching into darkness. Rava's eyes narrowed. "It's waking. We must leave." "Wait," Milo said, stepping forward. "Isn't this what you wanted?" "Not now," she said quickly. "If the vault opens too soon, others will come. Not just my people, the traitor and his kind. They are watching." Milo remembered the golden eyes in the market. The traitor had spoken to him so calmly, but his words had a deeper meaning. "Marked now." Rava pulled him away from the entrance. "Come. We go to the clan. You need to understand everything before you go any deeper." They returned to the surface just before dawn. The sky had turned a soft orange. Light wind moved the sand gently across the ground, but they weren't alone. 6 figures stood at the edge of the hill, tall, strong, and covered in fur and armor like Rava. Each one carried a staff or blade carved with glowing lines. Their eyes, like Rava's, were sharp and watchful. One of them stepped forward. He was older, with silver fur along his jaw and a deep scar across his chest. His name was Tarn, and he was the leader of Rava's clan. "You bring the marked one," he said, his voice deep. "Yes," Rava said. "He was chosen by the vault." Tarn looked at Milo, then at the cube in his hands. He nodded once. "Come," he said. "He must be seen by the council." They walked for 2 hours through the rocky paths until they reached a hidden village built into the cliffs. Small huts made of wood, bone, and stone were placed in circles. Fires burned in the center, and strange symbols were drawn across the walls and ground. Children stopped playing when they saw Milo. Elders stepped out of their homes and watched him in silence. "He has the mark," someone whispered. "Is it time?" another said. Inside a large stone hall, 5 clan elders waited. They sat in a half-circle, watching Milo with eyes that held memory and warning. Tarn stepped forward. "The vault has answered. A human carries the cube. He bears the mark of Rava." One elder, an old woman with white fur and a crystal necklace, leaned forward. "Let the vault test him." Another nodded. "If he is truly chosen, it will show us." Milo stood in the center, confused. "What test?" Rava stepped beside him. "Place the cube in the fire." A small fire burned in a bowl at the center of the hall. Milo stepped closer, heart beating fast. He held the cube over the flames, unsure. Then he dropped it in. At first, nothing happened. Then the flames turned blue. The air grew still. A soft sound, like a voice whispering through wind, filled the room. The cube floated above the fire, spinning slowly. A beam of light rose from it, showing an image in the air, a map made of stars, planets, and a pulsing red dot deep inside Verdos. The elders gasped. "It is true," one said. "The vault lives again." Milo stared at the map. "What is that? Red dot?" "That," Rava said quietly, "is the core, the heart of the vault. If the traitor reaches it before us, he will control everything the old humans left behind. Machines, weapons, knowledge." "And if we reach it?" Milo asked. "Then you may become more than just a mechanic," she said. "You may become a protector of your kind, and ours." Milo looked at the glowing map. He never wanted any of this. But now he was part of something much larger than himself. He nodded slowly. "Then let's stop him." The elders stood. Tarn raised his staff. "Then we ride at dawn." The next morning, the sun had not yet fully risen when Milo stood with Rava and the clan on the high ridge. The wind was cold and sharp, cutting across the rocks. Behind them, the village was quiet. Ahead of them, the land stretched toward the vault. Rava handed Milo a small leather pouch. "Dried root and water," she said. "You'll need your strength." Milo took it and nodded. He had barely slept. All night, the image of the floating cube and the red dot had burned in his mind. He was still a mechanic in his own eyes. But the elders had spoken. The vault had chosen him, and now he had a task. Tarn stood beside a large beast, half horse, half reptile. It had sharp hooves and armor-like skin. "We ride fast," he said. "The trader and his group are already moving. We saw signs near the eastern canyon." Rava helped Milo climb onto one of the beasts. He held the reins tightly, trying not to show how nervous he was. This was his first time riding anything like this. It felt wild, powerful, and a little dangerous. With a shout, Tarn led the way. The group of 8 riders moved quickly across the rocky land, heading toward the vault. Dust rose behind them like a trail of smoke. By midday, they reached the gate room again. The stone pillars stood like silent watchers, but something was different. The door to the vault was wide open. Milo jumped off the beast and ran to the entrance. The glowing tunnel he had seen before was now fully lit. The air inside was warmer, and from deep within, a low hum filled the space. "He's already here," Rava said, eyes scanning the rocks. "The traitor," Tarn raised his hand, signaling the others to spread out. "Stay close," he said. "If the vault is waking, the core may be vulnerable." They entered the tunnel carefully. The walls glowed with soft blue light. Symbols moved like waves, changing as they passed. The cube in Milo's bag pulsed again, as if guiding him. After walking for several minutes, they reached a large circular chamber. It looked untouched for centuries. Floating machines hung in the air, slowly turning. Screens lit up as Milo entered. Then, in the center of the chamber, a deep voice echoed. "I was hoping you would come." Milo turned sharply, standing. Near the core gate was the traitor. His cloak was gone now, revealing armor made of dark crystal plates. His eyes still glowed golden, but now his face was sharper, colder. Behind him stood 4 guards, tall, silent, with black helmets and glowing weapons. They were not from this planet. "You followed me," the traitor said, "but you are late." Rava stepped forward, staff raised. "You should not be here." The traitor smiled. "I have just as much right to this vault as your kind, maybe more. I carry the blood of the Makers." "You lie," Tarn growled. "You are a thief, nothing more." The traitor pointed at Milo. "And he is just a tool. A lost human child with a broken past. He doesn't even know what he carries." Milo stepped forward, holding the cube tightly. "I know enough. This vault doesn't belong to you." The traitor's smile faded. "Then you've made your choice." He lifted his hand, and the guards moved forward. Tarn raised his weapon, and the clan warriors rushed into battle. The room filled with noise, shouts, sparks, and the hum of weapons clashing. Milo backed away as Rava stepped in front of him, blocking a strike from one of the guards. "Stay behind me!" she shouted. But Milo felt something pull at him. The cube in his hand was glowing brighter than ever before. Symbols lit up on the floor, leading him toward the core gate. He looked around, then ran. The battle raged behind him. Rava shouted his name, but he didn't stop. He followed the glowing path into another chamber, smaller, round, and filled with machines. At the center stood a tall structure, silver and black, with a red sphere pulsing in the middle. It looked like a heart made of light. Milo stepped closer. The cube in his hand floated upward, drawn by the energy. It hovered above the sphere, then gently connected to it. The room flashed with light. A calm voice echoed from the walls. "Core. Connection confirmed. Human pattern matched. Vault control unlocked." Milo gasped. His arm burned where the mark was. Lines of light spread from the core into the walls like rivers of power. Outside, the battle stopped. The floor shook slightly. Machines rose from hidden spots in the walls. The vault had awakened fully. The trader stumbled back, eyes wide. "No, it's not possible." Rava entered the core chamber and saw Milo standing by the sphere, glowing. "With power, he did it," she said softly. The guards dropped their weapons, confused. Tarn and the other warriors quickly captured them. The trader tried to run, but Rava moved like lightning. She knocked him down with her staff and held it to his neck. "You lost," she said. "Leave now, or be buried here." The trader hissed, but said nothing. Later, in the quiet of the chamber, Milo sat on a stone seat, staring at the core. The cube floated beside him now, still glowing but calm. "You said I was just a tool," Milo said to Rava. She shook her head. "You are not a tool. You are a key, a link to the past, and now the guardian of the future." "I didn't ask for this," he said. "No one ever does," she replied. "But sometimes we must become what the world needs." Milo looked. Around the vault, the machines, the power, the secrets. It all felt heavy. But he wasn't afraid anymore. He had opened the vault, and now he had to protect it. The vault had awakened. Light flowed through its walls like a sleeping giant rising after a long rest. The machines were no longer silent. Screens flickered, doors opened. Power filled the chambers, and the heart of the ancient human base beat. Once again. Milo stood near the glowing core. He felt strange, stronger, lighter, but also watched. The cube hovered quietly beside him, its light now soft and steady. It had accepted him. But deep inside, he felt something else, the sense that more danger was coming. Tarn and Rava stood near the outer hall, speaking with the elders who had arrived just hours after the battle. The captured guards from the traders' group sat tied. Near the wall, their helmets removed. They looked afraid now, silent and unsure. Rava walked over to Milo. "The vault is secure for now," she said, "but the message it sent when it woke, it reached far." Milo looked at her. "What do you mean?" "Old systems lit up," she replied. "Satellites, relays, even broken ships in orbit. Someone will see it. Someone who remembers what was hidden here." Milo nodded slowly. "And they'll come for it." "Yes," she said. "And not all will come with peace in mind." As the clan worked to study the vault's outer areas, Milo began to learn more about the systems. With the cube, he could open doors, activate machines, and even read old human files stored in the archives. He found messages, blueprints, and mission logs from the early settlers who had built the base. One entry caught his eye. It showed a machine called the Guardian Unit, hidden deep under the core, a last resort defense system meant only for emergencies. But the entry was locked. Even with the cube, Milo couldn't access it. Rava noticed his frustration. "What is it?" she asked. "There's something under the vault," Milo said. "Something big, but it's locked away." "Then maybe it was not meant to be found yet," she replied. Milo didn't answer. He couldn't stop thinking about it. That evening, they lit fires outside the vault. The clan celebrated their victory. Songs were sung, meat was roasted, and stories were shared. Milo sat near the edge, watching the stars above. For the first time in days, the sky felt calm. But the peace didn't last. A sharp whistle cut through the night. Then, boom! An explosion shook the ground. Dust and flames rose near the edge of the camp. People screamed. Beasts cried out. Milo jumped to his feet. "What was that?" Tarn shouted. "We're under attack!" From the ridge above, shadows moved. Mercenaries, heavily armed, sliding down the rocks. They wore black armor and helmets, with red visors. Energy rifles flashed in the night. Rava grabbed her staff. Get back to the vault, she told Milo. Milo ran, heart pounding, while the clan warriors rushed to defend the camp. Another explosion hit the far wall of the vault. A group of mercenaries, led by a tall woman in silver armor, stepped through the smoke. "We want the cube!" she shouted. "Hand it over and no one else gets hurt." Milo held the cube tighter. He looked at Rava, who was already fighting near the entrance. The woman stepped closer. "You don't know what you carry," she said. "The vault has tech that could power armies. Worlds could fall or rise from what lies in there." Milo backed away. "That's why you can't have it." The woman's eyes narrowed. "Then you've chosen your side." She raised her weapon, but before she could fire, a loud growl echoed through the chamber. A beast from the clan, a massive creature with gray fur and 4 tusks, charged from the shadows and slammed into the mercenaries. The battle exploded into chaos. Milo ran deeper into the vault, clutching the cube. He remembered the locked Guardian unit. If this was the emergency it was meant for, then maybe it was time to use it. He reached the core room and placed the cube on the central platform. The vault's voice spoke. "Restricted entry. Emergency. Protocol not confirmed." Milo raised his arm. "I bear the mark. I'm chosen." Silence. Then, "Mark confirmed. Core override granted. Guardian unit activation. Stand by." The floor beneath Milo began to open. A deep hum filled the room. From below, something large began to rise. A machine covered in dust with armor that looked like a mix of steel and bone. It stood tall, with long arms, glowing eyes, and sharp claws. A seat opened at its center. Rava ran into the chamber, blood on her arm. "What are you doing?" "I'm ending this," Milo said. "We can't let them take the vault." He climbed into the Guardian unit. The machine closed around him. Screens lit up. The cube floated beside him, now inside the control panel. "System linked. Human pilot confirmed." The Guardian's eyes flashed bright white. It turned and stepped forward, fast and smooth. Outside, the mercenaries were pushing back the clan. Rava was fighting 3 at once. Tarn had taken a wound to his leg. Then the Guardian burst out of the vault, its heavy steps shaking the ground. The mercenaries froze. "What is that?" one shouted. The Guardian raised its arm and fired a beam of light into the sky. A warning shot. Then Milo spoke through the machine's voice system. "This is human territory," he said. "Leave now, or be buried here." The silver-armored woman hesitated. "You don't have the will to use that thing." Milo didn't answer. Instead, he raised the Guardian's hand and slammed it into the ground beside her, shaking the ridge. Stumbled back. Her troops panicked and began retreating. "This isn't over," she shouted as they pulled away. "No," Milo said. "But next time, we'll be ready." After the battle, the Guardian returned to its resting place. Milo climbed out, shaking from the energy and weight of the moment. The clan gathered around, him, silent. Then Tarn placed a hand on his shoulder. "You fought like one of us?" Rava smiled slightly. "Not just one of us. Better. You carry the fire of the old humans, and the strength of the new." Milo nodded, breathing hard. The vault was safe for now. But war was coming, and he would be ready. The dust had settled over the cliffs of Verdos. Smoke from broken weapons still hung in the air, but the sounds of battle had faded. The mercenaries had fled, defeated by something they never expected, the Guardian unit and a young human who once worked with tools, not weapons. Now Milo stood beside the beast-like machine, its eyes dim again, its metal body resting like a sleeping giant. Rava walked to him slowly. A cut on her cheek still bled, but she didn't seem to notice. "You did something no one else could," she said softly. "You turned a war machine into a shield." Milo wiped the sweat from his brow and looked up at the Guardian. "I only did what I had to. They were going to take everything." Tarn joined them. He limped slightly, but still stood tall. The mercenaries may return with more fire and more greed, but now the clans know. Humans still hold power. You reminded us. Milo looked around. The clan warriors were patching wounds, fixing weapons, and gathering supplies. They were tired, but their eyes were filled with new strength. He asked, "Can the Guardian unit fight again if we need it?" "Yes," Tarn replied. "But don't forget, it follows your lead. It listens only to the one with the cube and the mark." Milo looked at his arm. The bite mark Rava gave him weeks ago still glowed faintly, as if alive. He never thought something so strange could protect him. But now he understood. The mark didn't just connect him to the vault, it connected him to the clan. That evening, a meeting was called. The elders gathered inside the stone chamber near the vault. Fires burned in the corners. Shadows danced across the walls as voices echoed. Tarn stood and spoke first. "The vault is active. The Guardian is awake, but that also means others will come. Not just mercenaries, but leaders, kings, and even governments." An elder with a long staff nodded. "The galaxy remembers the power of old Earth machines. If they know it's here, they'll try to control it." Rava turned to Milo. "What do you want to do?" Milo didn't speak right away. He thought about the city worlds where humans live now, safe, clean, and far from places like Verdos. He thought about the traitor, the mercenaries, and the war machines hidden in the vault. Then he looked at the people around him, the Beast clan who fought by his side, bled for their home, and trusted him when they had no reason to. "I want to protect this place," he said. "Not for power, not for war, but so no one can steal what isn't theirs." The elders looked at one another. Tarn said, "Then we stand with you." Rava nodded. "So do I." The days that followed were filled with work. Milo trained with the clan, learning to fight with blade and staff, to read the marks of the land, and to speak their ancient tongue. Rava taught him about the old ways, how to watch the sky for signs, how to hear messages in the wind, and how to lead not by orders but by example. "You are not one of us by blood," she said once, during a quiet night under the stars. "But the vault chose you. The mark accepted you. That means you are something new, not just human, not just clan, but both." Milo smiled at her. "And you bit me before even saying hello." Rava chuckled. "That's how we say hello in the mountains." As the vault's systems came back online, they discovered more hidden halls, rooms filled with old Earth tools, armor, drones, and strange glowing crystals that powered machines. Milo used the cube to control the systems. He sealed parts of the vault that were too dangerous. He set traps along the outer chambers in case invaders returned. But the most important discovery came one morning. Deep in the vault, near the oldest part of the structure, Milo found a message, recorded by a human commander from hundreds of years ago. "If you are hearing this," the message said, "then you carry the mark. You are one of us. The vault was never meant to be forgotten. It was meant to sleep until the next Guardian arrived. Protect it. Share it only with those who will respect its power, and never let greed rule its gates again." The message ended with the symbol of Earth, a blue and green planet surrounded by stars. Milo stood in silence. He felt something stir inside him, not fear, not pride. Something stronger. Duty. Weeks passed. Peace returned to the hills around the vault. The outpost, once quiet and forgotten, now grew with new life. Some humans from nearby colonies came to visit, curious about the tales of the vault and the warrior with the glowing mark. At first, they were unsure of the Beast clan, but when they saw the way the humans and clan worked together, trained together, and laughed around shared fires, something changed. A new bond was forming. Then, one night, Rava found Milo standing near the vault's entrance. "The stars are restless," she said. Milo nodded. "I feel it too, like a storm is coming." "A bigger one," she agreed. "And we don't know from where." He turned to her. "Are you afraid?" Rava looked at him. "I was, but not anymore, not since you stood beside us." Milo looked up at the stars. "Then we'll face it together, you and me." "And the Guardian," Rava added, smiling, and "The Guardian," Milo said, smiling back. Together, man and beast stood at the edge of the old world, guarding something greater than power, trust, unity, and the hope for a future where both could rise together. Weeks turned into months. The vault became more than just a secret. It became a symbol of peace, power, and the strange new bond between humans and the Beast Clan. The Guardian unit stood like a silent mountain near the hills, watching the land and sky. The people no longer feared the machines of the past. They respected them. Milo spent his days training, repairing machines, and learning. He was not just a human now, he was something else, chosen by the vault, marked by the clan, and trusted by both. But far above, beyond the quiet skies of Verdos, something stirred. One evening, while Milo worked inside the vault's deep chamber, the cube glowed bright red. It floated out of his hand and spun rapidly in the air. Then, the vault's systems lit up. "Incoming signal detected. Galactic coordinates match ancient Earth beacon." Milo's heart pounded. He ran to the console and saw it with his own eyes. A signal, thousands of years old, pulsing from deep space. "What is it?" Rava asked, stepping in beside him. "It's from Earth," Milo said slowly. "The original Earth. But Earth was lost long ago," she whispered. "Not lost," Milo replied. "Maybe just waiting." The next day, the elders gathered. Tarn stood with his arms folded as Milo explained the signal. He showed them the star map and the point of origin. It wasn't just Earth. It was Earth Prime, the birthplace of all human colonies. "If that's true," one elder said, "then others have heard the signal too." Milo nodded. "Yes, that's why we have to be ready." "Ready? For what?" Rava asked. He looked at her, serious. "Visitors. Not like the trader, not mercenaries. Bigger ones. Governments. Empires. People who will see the vault as a tool, not a home." The room fell quiet. Finally, Tarn spoke. "We fought once. We'll fight again, if we must. But this time," Rava added, "we won't fight alone." Over. The next few days, preparations began. Runners were sent to nearby clans, beast folk who lived across the mountains, deserts, and forests. Milo and Rava traveled with the Guardian, showing others the truth. The vault was not a weapon. It was a bridge, a bond between man and beast, and one by one, the clans agreed. "I've seen what greed looks like," Milo told them. "But I've also seen what unity can do." One clear morning, the sky cracked. Not thunder, ships. 3 of them, long, silver, smooth like flying spears. They descended slowly, hovering above the hills near the vault. Lights blinked, engines hummed. The people of the village ran to high ground, watching silently. Milo stood at the entrance of the vault, with Rava by his side and the Guardian unit behind them. Tarn and the clan warriors stood ready, weapons sheathed but close. The ships landed. A ramp opened. A tall man in white and gold armor stepped out. He wore a long coat and spoke through a translator at his side. "I am Commander Hallen, of the Colonial Earth Union," he said. "We received your signal. We come in peace and interest." Milo stepped forward. "Then speak your interest clearly." Hallen looked at the vault behind him. "Ancient Earth technology, active systems, a Guardian-class unit. That is more than just interest. That is a miracle." Rava stepped forward too. "And miracles are not yours to take." Hallen smiled politely. We only wish to help. Share knowledge. Study. Perhaps rebuild. Milo shook his head. This place doesn't need rebuilding. It needs protecting. The commander's face changed slightly. Are you saying Earth has no right to its own legacy? I'm saying this legacy chose us, Milo said firmly. And if you're here for control, then you should leave now. There was a long pause. Then Hallen said, I hope you don't mistake silence for weakness. Milo looked at him calmly. And I hope you don't mistake kindness for fear. Behind him, the Guardian unit stood tall, its eyes glowing softly. The people gathered, humans and beast folk alike, watching without fear. Commander Hallen looked around and realized he wasn't just facing one boy. He was facing a people who had become something more. He nodded slowly. Then let us speak as equals. That night, fires were lit again, not for war, but for peace. The Earth Union officers sat with the clan. They shared food. They listened to stories. Some of them even laughed. The vault glowed softly in the background, its doors open but guarded. Milo sat with Hallen beneath the stars. You remind me of the old stories, the commander said. Human courage in strange lands, unity in unexpected places. Milo smiled. We call it survival, with friends. Hallen leaned forward. There will be others, not all peaceful, not all patient. I know, Milo said, but we'll be ready. This land has a heart now, and it beats with more than one voice. Before leaving, Hallen gave Milo a small device. A beacon, he said, to call for help, or for peace. Milo accepted it. Thank you. And remember, this isn't just Earth's past, it's our future too. As the ships rose into the sky and disappeared among the stars, Rava stood beside Milo. You didn't just protect the vault, she said. You gave it a soul. No, Milo replied. We gave it one. Together. They looked at the rising sun. A new day had begun. For the first time in a long time, both man and beast stood on the same ground. Not as enemies or strangers, but as guardians of something greater than history. They were the future together.